people, my name is Jai and welcome to my channel. I'm back to react to a video from Visual Ventura, and this is the most unsettling band commercials. So sit back, relax, get your snacks, and let's watch.
If I'm 10 years old watching TV and this advert comes on, if I'm never watching TV again, that'll scare the shit out of me.
What the? I don't know what I just watched. I don't even have commentary for that. I just can't believe that's a real commercial.
This advert caused so much controversy because it created a craze in playgrounds in the UK.
That's genuinely scary. I can see why people said, yeah, that is distressing. I'm kind of distressed.
Ads are meant to attract customers, but these ads did the opposite. They disturbed viewers so much the TV stations had to pull them off the air. These are commercials banned for being too disturbing. We won't just show you the footage, we'll uncover the backstories behind each one and save the worst for last. So it is almost the end of the year, guys, and my goal is still the same, to increase the number of videos I put out for you guys without sacrificing quality. So it would mean the world if you subscribe, and I promise to do my absolute best and make the best videos I can for you guys. I'm Visual Venture and you are awesome. The ad that was too weird to forget. In 1983, a company wanted to sell candy to kids. To do that, they created a commercial. The main character was someone every child already knew, Humpty Dumpty. But the version of Humpty Dumpty that appeared in that commercial wasn't cute. It looked like something straight out of a horror movie. The commercial was for a candy called Kinder Surprise. It was an egg-shaped chocolate with a small toy hidden inside. The product wasn't new. Kids already loved it. To keep that success going, Kinder wanted to launch a new ad campaign. They also wanted a mascot children would recognize instantly. Humpty Dumpty was the obvious choice. He was famous, shaped like an egg, and loved by children all over the world. But there was one major issue. Kinder couldn't legally use Humpty Dumpty. Copyright laws blocked them from putting him in the commercial. They needed to create their own version. It could look like Humpty Dumpty, but it needed a different name. So they invented the Eggman. He was supposed to be friendly, but he turned out super creepy. One person described him as a fleshy man-egg with childlike features. The Eggman had tiny eyes and an insanely wide mouth. He spoke in a high, squeaky voice. The biggest problem was how real he looked. The Eggman wasn't animated like a cartoon. He was a hand-built puppet controlled by a professional puppeteer. He blinked, chewed, and moved like a real human, but with the body of an egg. The result was disturbing on so many levels. Despite that, Kinder decided to put him on television. The Kinder Surprise commercial aired in 1983. It began with the Eggman sitting on a wall. It was an obvious reference to Humpty Dumpty's nursery rhyme. Almost immediately, the Eggman started shouting nonsense words.
Yibble shaky. Me unscrabbly.
He unwrapped the Kinder Surprise and found the toy inside. All this time, he was still speaking gibberish.
Yodel yum and choco scrum with multi-functional styes. Oh, grubbly.
His excitement kept building. The Eggman waved his arms wildly. Then he lost his balance and fell backward off the wall. It was a direct nod to Humpty Dumpty's fall. The Kinder logo appeared, the commercial ended. It was meant to be silly and fun, but instead it came across as bizarre and unsettling. Not long after it aired, complaints started pouring in. Parents said their kids were terrified of the Eggman's creepy face. And it wasn't just a few kids, it was thousands. Eventually, TV stations had to act. After many complaints, networks stopped airing the ad. It was unofficially banned. Eventually, Kinder decided to pull the commercial completely. By then, it already had a reputation as one of the creepiest candy ads ever made. But that wasn't the end of the story. Decades later, the footage resurfaced on YouTube. People couldn't believe it was real. Overnight, the Eggman became a meme. YouTubers created parody versions. Fans even tried to translate his gibberish.
Yodel yum and choco scrum with multi-functional styes.
The translation was obviously fake, but it captured what everyone thought. The ad was absolutely weird. Kinder tried to bury this ad. Didn't work. Decades later, it's still everywhere. Your Your personal information works the same way. Once it's out there online, it never really goes away on its own. A few years ago, someone dug up my old private data and used it to threaten me. I tried removing my information from every website that I could find, but I gave up because there were hundreds of them. That's because these sketchy websites are profiting off of your information. They sell it to literally anyone who pays, and it's completely legal, which is insane to me. But if you ask them to remove your data, they're also legally required to take it down. But there are just way too many sites for you to do it yourself. That's why today's sponsor Aura exists. Every removal rate becomes dark web credit with up to 10 antivirus around the corner in the description, or go to find out if people take very seriously. The ad, the disrespected families. Sometimes the best way to advertise a product is to show someone using it, but a Belgian company called Zazu couldn't do that because their product was a condom. Obviously they couldn't demonstrate that on TV. They needed another way to deliver their message, so they came up with a commercial that was meant to be funny, but the reaction wasn't what they expected. Instead of laughing, many viewers were offended. The commercial ended up being banned in multiple countries. Here's what happened. The ad was released in 2004. It stood out right away. Most condom ads at the time focused on romance or disease prevention, but Zazu went in a completely different direction. The ad opened inside a supermarket. A father was shopping with his young son. The boy slipped the bag of candy into the cart. The father removed it and put it back on the shelf. The boy frowned and tried again. Again, the father took it out. Realizing he wasn't getting the candy, the boy snapped. He starts having a full-blown temper tantrum. Other shoppers stared. The father looked embarrassed and defeated. Then 2 words appeared on the screen. Use condoms. It was short, shocking, and unforgettable. When the ad first aired in Belgium and France, people loved it. It was dark humor, but it was relatable. Once it reached English-speaking countries, the reaction changed. Critics said the message was inappropriate. They believed it mocked parenthood and portrayed children as a burden. Some labeled it disrespectful to families. Several broadcasters refused to air it. Before long, it was banned in several countries. But the controversy only made it more famous. People shared the ad on forums, blogs, and eventually YouTube. Many thought it was hilarious. It even won an award for its originality. Despite the backlash, Zazu's Little Boy commercial became a classic. This next ad shows how a joke becomes dangerous when people take it literally. The ad that hit too hard. In 1992, a TV commercial went viral in Britain. People couldn't stop talking about it. Many even called it one of the funniest ads ever made. But then, kids started reenacting the ad in real life, and within weeks, someone landed in the emergency room. Suddenly, people realized the ad wasn't just funny, it was dangerous. The story began with a drink called Tango Orange. It was basically orange soda, but the soda market was very competitive. Tango's biggest rival was Fanta, and Fanta was everywhere, on TV, in stores, and in almost every fridge. Tango needed something bold to grab attention, so they hired a top ad agency. At the time, most ads followed the same formula. A person used a product, and suddenly everything in their life got better. Tango's team flipped that idea. They asked, what if drinking Tango didn't make you better? What if it shocked you literally? That became the concept. Tango's flavor was so intense that it hit you with an unforgettable punch. To bring that idea to life, the team created a strange new character. They named him the Orange Man. His job was simple: appear out of nowhere and slap the person drinking Tango. Before settling on the slap, they tested other ideas. Originally, the Orange Man was going to punch the drinker. That was rejected as too violent. Next, they tried having him kick the person from behind. That was rejected too. Finally, they decided on a slap. It was risky, it was different, and soon it would cause serious trouble. They filmed the commercial and put it on TV. It began with 3 young men standing outside a corner shop. One of them cracked open a can of Tango and took a sip.
Hello, Johnny. I think we might use a video replay here.
The video rewound like someone reviewing footage on tape. This time, viewers saw what really happened.
Oh, yes, we could be in for a quintessential Tango taste sensation here.
As soon as he took a sip, the Orange Man ran up and slapped him on both cheeks. The drinker was shocked. The voiceover called it super taste sensation. Then came the tagline.
No. When you've been tangoed.
The ad was an instant hit. You know when you've been tangoed became a national catchphrase. Adults quoted it at work. Kids repeated it on playgrounds. Tango's sales skyrocketed. At one point, Tango outsold Fanta by almost 2-1. They obliterated their biggest rival. For the company, it was a massive win. But the win didn't last. Not long after the ad went viral, teachers noticed something alarming. Kids were sneaking up behind classmates and slapping them on both cheeks. Then they would yell, "You've been tangoed." At first, schools thought it was harmless fun, but the Tango slap kept getting harder. One morning, Tango Tango's advertising team got a call from a hospital. A surgeon was on the line. He said, "I thought you'd like to know that I did an operation on a child this morning with a damaged eardrum." When I asked him what happened, he said, "I got tangoed." The company's joke finally caused a real injury. Tango executives were horrified. If word spread that their commercial was putting people in the hospital, it would destroy the brand. But it was too late. The story hit the news, and parents were furious. They accused Tango of glorifying violence. Schools across the UK started banning Tango from their premises. The company quickly pulled the commercial from television, but removing it wasn't enough. They still had to clean up the mess. Tango's team scrambled to recover. They still needed to advertise their drink, but they couldn't risk another scandal. So they made 2 new versions of the ad. In one, the orange man placed his hand on the Tango drinker's mouth and kissed it. In the other, the drinker saw the orange man coming and ran away. The team believed these safer versions would work just as well, but the public felt differently. The new ads didn't have the same impact. The original commercial, however, became legendary. People still remember it today. In the year 2000, the Orange Man ad ranked number 3 in Britain's list of the 100 greatest TV ads of all time. This next ad was supposed to inspire people, but it disgusted them. The ad, too insensitive for TV. In 2002, Microsoft was preparing to launch the Xbox across Europe, but there was one major roadblock. At the time, PlayStation dominated the gaming world. To compete, Xbox needed a commercial that would shake things up, something that would make gamers take notice. Their team came up with an inspirational tagline: "Life is short, play more." It felt perfect. They even set aside about $50 million for the European launch, but when they turned that tagline into a commercial, it went terribly wrong. The ad was so controversial that even people who weren't gamers wanted it banned. The commercial opened in a hospital delivery room. A woman was in labor surrounded by doctors. She gave one final push, and the baby shot out of her belly like a missile. It smashed through the window and flew across the sky. Then something unusual happened. The baby started aging as it soared through the air. He became a child, then a teenager, then an adult. There were close-up shots of his thinning hair and aging teeth. Through it all, he kept screaming. Finally, he crash-landed into a grave. Then the tagline appeared: "Life is short, play more." It was clearly dark humor, a visual metaphor showing how quickly life passes. But when the ad aired, viewers weren't inspired, they were disgusted. The problem was simple. People didn't like the idea of using death to sell video games. Authorities in the UK received more than 100 complaints. One was from a grieving mother who recently lost her baby. After weeks of backlash, the authorities ruled that the ad could not be broadcast on British television unless the ending was changed. Microsoft refused. They insisted that the message was positive. Life is short, so make the most of it. Rather than change the commercial, they pulled it from television completely. It never aired again. Still, Xbox didn't step away from edgy marketing. In the years that followed, their marketing team kept making controversial ads. This next ad was so bad, people have been talking about it for 40 years. The ad that terrified a generation. In 1978, a new horror movie was about to hit theaters. It was titled Magic. Like every film, it needed a trailer to build hype. And since it was a horror movie, the team wanted it to be scary. Very scary. But they went further than anyone expected. Magic was a psychological horror film. It was about a struggling magician named Corky. His career was collapsing and he was desperate for something new. So he added a ventriloquist dummy named Fats into his routine. It worked. After adding the dummy, Corky became a success. But soon he sensed something was wrong. The dummy wasn't just a prop. He seemed alive. And worse, he was evil.
What if you can create your own website by
Unfolded, Corky slowly lost his grip on reality. For the movie trailer, the marketing team came up with a minimalist idea. No special effects or action scenes, just the evil dummy staring straight into the camera. That would turn out to be a very bad idea. The trailer lasted only 30 seconds. It began with the dummy emerging from the darkness. It had lifelike eyes and a devilish grin. The camera zoomed in while he recited a poem.
Abracadabra, I sit on his knee. Presto, changeo, and now he's me.
The poem went on for a while, but then he said the last line.
Magic is free. We're dead.
The dummy's eyes snapped shut. Then, just before the commercial ended, they popped open again. Then the screen cut to black. The trailer was meant to get people excited for the movie, but it had the opposite effect. People didn't even want to see the trailer. TV stations received complaint after complaint. Parents said the dummy was giving their kids nightmares. Others claimed their kids ran out of the room whenever it came on. One viewer said the poem got stuck in their head. It didn't help that the trailer had no storyline. It was just a puppet staring straight at the viewer as if it were mad at the viewer. For children, that was too much. By late 1978, the backlash was impossible to ignore. Television networks banned the Magic trailer. They said they were protecting younger viewers from more sleepless nights. After the ban, the studio released a new trailer for the movie. This time it opened with a message. This special preview has been approved for all audiences. The first trailer didn't have that, so it was clearly meant to reassure everyone that this version was safe. Then it began.
When your heart begins to pound, when your mind begins to go, keep telling yourself, it's only a movie.
This time, the dummy appeared for just a few seconds. The rest of the trailer showed scenes from the actual film.
You do magic too? Porky does magic. I only do tricks.
It was spooky but not horrifying for the people at the time. When Magic premiered, reviews said the movie wasn't nearly as scary as the trailer. One critic wrote, "There's nothing in the film nearly as terrifying as Fat's grin and that creepy little rhyme." More than 40 years have passed since that original trailer, and people still talk about it. Today you can find it on YouTube, and comments are filled with adults who still remember being terrified as children. Some even call it the scariest movie trailer of all time. This next ad got into trouble for being a little too realistic. The ad, "The Corrupted Young Mind." In 2007, a game called Kane and Lynch was about to launch. It came from the same studio that created the game Hitman, but this one was far more violent. The two main characters were criminals. Kane was a ruthless mercenary, and Lynch was an unstable psychopath. The game followed them through a series of brutal crimes and shootouts. When it came time to promote the game, the studio had one goal. They wanted the commercial to look cinematic, like a gritty Hollywood action movie, something raw, realistic, and intense. In retrospect, maybe that wasn't the best decision, because the ad they created was so disturbing it was banned almost immediately. The commercial began calmly.
From the creators of Hitman comes Kane and Lynch.
Then all hell broke loose. There was gunfire, screams, and sirens. Kane and Lynch didn't hold back. They took down anyone who stood in their way. It was 30 seconds of non-stop violence. The creative team thought they nailed it, but once the ad aired in the UK, the public reaction was a disaster. The commercial ran on just a few British networks. Within hours, viewers were calling the TV stations to complain. Almost everyone said that the violence looked too graphic. They pointed out scenes where characters were getting hurt. One close-up even showed a person's bruised face. Even the sound effects were an issue. There was a sickening crunch sound when one character was hit with a rifle. For many viewers, it was simply too disturbing. By the end of the week, UK authorities received 26 complaints. That might not sound like much, but it was enough to ignite a national debate about how video games were corrupting young people. Even the TV stations that first aired the commercial apologized. The game studio tried to defend itself. They claimed the ad was misunderstood. Kane and Lynch was about two criminals trying to survive in a harsh world. The commercial was just showing that world. They argued that given the subject matter of the game, the TV ad was not overly violent. They also insisted that the ad was made for adults, not kids. But regulators didn't buy it. They ruled that the commercial was too graphic and too shocking to be seen in any medium. In plain English, it was too disturbing for TV. They also said it was likely to be seen as condoning and glorifying real violence. The verdict was final. The Kane and Lynch ad was banned from British television. It was one of the first video game ads ever pulled for being too violent. Up next is a commercial that people actually liked, but somehow it still got banned. The ad that was too crude. A company called Smart Beep thought they were finally getting their big break. They created a commercial that was set to air during the 1999 Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was arguably the biggest advertising event in the world. Millions of people watched every year. For brands, even 30 seconds on screen could lead to massive profit, but the price was steep. Back then, a 30-second Super Bowl slot cost $1.6 million. Smart Beep was ready to pay it. They filmed their ad and prepared for their big debut, but before it even aired, the commercial was banned. And it was all because of one bad joke. To understand why this ad even existed, you have to go back to the late 1990s. Back then, smartphones weren't common. Most people used pagers to stay connected. Here's how pagers worked. If you wanted to reach someone, you called their pager number. Your number appeared on a tiny screen on their pager. The person saw it, found a phone, and called you back. It was pretty simple. Smart Beep offered affordable pager plans. That was their business. To attract more customers, they decided to run a Super Bowl commercial. illegal. It was expensive. But if the ad landed, it could catapult their business. For the ad, they wanted a concept that was simple but funny, and they got an idea. The commercial began with a man picking up a woman for a blind date. He walked her to his car and opened the passenger door. He went around to the driver's side. Right before he got in, the woman let out a loud fart. When he got in, he smiled awkwardly and said,
You guys meet? Greg, Janice?
We sure did.
Then came the punchline.
That was stupid.
Great.
This is smart. A beeper service for just $1.99 a month.
The joke was simple. Farting on a blind date was stupid. Signing up for a cheap pager plan was smart. It was short, fast, and funny. Exactly what most Super Bowl ads tried to be. Smart Beep submitted the commercial to Fox for approval. Fox was the network airing the Super Bowl that year. That meant they got to decide which commercials aired. But when Fox saw the blind date commercial, they were anything but impressed. Fox executives felt the fart joke was too crude, so they made a surprising decision. The commercial was banned from the Super Bowl. For Smart Beep, it was a huge blow. Their big break disappeared overnight. But the story didn't end there. The ad eventually leaked online, and when people finally saw it, they were shocked it was rejected. Viewers pointed out the same thing. In the 1990s, Fox aired shows like In Living Color, The Simpsons, and Married with Children. These shows were notorious for their crude humor. So why was a simple fart joke suddenly off limits? The commercial went viral online. Years later, some Reddit users even called it the greatest TV commercial ever. Unfortunately, going viral didn't save Smart Beep. In the 2000s, people switched from pagers to cell phones. With fewer customers, the company eventually shut down. Their banned commercial, however, lived on. And today, it's remembered as one of the funniest Super Bowl ads that never aired. This next case made history for all the wrong reasons. The ad that put viewers in the hospital. So far, we've covered ads that were disturbing, but this one didn't just upset people. It did something few ads have ever done. It triggered seizures. The commercial was from a car company called Citroën. They were one of the biggest car manufacturers in France. In 2011, they were promoting a new model, the DS4. It was sleek, modern, and futuristic. A car designed to stand out. The marketing team leaned into that idea. The ad's theme was rebellion. Everyone else said yes to the ordinary. But if you drove the DS4, you weren't like everyone else. You stood out. It was a smart concept. The next step was to create a TV commercial. But what they created was a health hazard. The ad opened with a smooth voiceover.
It's easy to say yes. Can you work on Sunday? Yes, boss. Can you go shopping with me? Yes, darling.
After a moment, the voice asked,
How many yeses did you say?
That's when things got intense. The word yes started flashing on screen non-stop, which we won't show. In total, it appeared 304 times in just a few seconds. After the burst of visuals, the voice returned.
But what if, just for once, you say no?
The camera to the DS4 gliding along a road.
Why conform?
The message was simple. Most people say yes to normal, but DS4 drivers don't. The flashing yes sequence was only a tiny part of the ad, but it was about to ruin everything. Trouble began the moment the ad aired in the UK. Within hours, stations received complaints. Viewers said the flashing made them dizzy and disoriented. Then the most serious reports came in. Several viewers said the ad triggered epileptic seizures. The condition is called photosensitive epilepsy. It's a disorder where rapid flashing images can cause seizures. That meant a car commercial was now a real health hazard. Citroën quickly issued a statement. They admitted the situation was serious, but insisted it wasn't their fault. They explained that the commercial passed every required safety test. One of those tests was designed to detect flashing patterns that could trigger seizures. It was called the Harding Flash and Pattern Analyzer test. The ad passed that test too, so technically everything was safe. If that was true, what went wrong? Authorities launched a full investigation. They retested the DS4 commercial using advanced tools. This time, the ad failed every test. That revealed a much bigger issue. The old safety checks weren't accurate enough. Regulators took action. They updated the standard safety tests, making them stricter and more precise. But for Citroën, it was too late. The ad was officially banned in the UK. The ruling was clear. The ad must not appear again in its current form. At least something positive came out of the chaos. Citroën's mistake helped make advertising safer for everyone. Shock value sells for a second, but trust, that takes years to build and seconds to destroy. So before you do something just to stand out, ask yourself, how will people remember you? Visual venture. Wait, before you go, I have a 1 hour and 45 minute long video talking about media.
I'm like, people always complain about something, about certain commercials. And yeah, I get it. You want people to have their opinions, and you want the people who made the ads to do something differently when they hear other people's opinions. But it's a commercial. Some of these commercials you can usually just change the channel or just turn on the TV for them. But the magic commercial and the Humpty Dumpty one, the egg commercial, that was very scary. I want to see that on my TV screen. And the video games as well. I'm low-key on the fence. I understand. I know because it is Xbox. They should have did it differently, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that one. But yeah, at the end of the day, you want to hear other people's opinions about it and change it differently. Switch up this, and most importantly, turn on the TV or change the channel. That's all. Yeah, but more civil commercials, I should say. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this video. Have the most awesome day. Stay grateful. Till next time. Peace.